That's where it happens, folks. Right now, Vegas Golden Knights just won the Stanley Cup. The streets are going crazy. The strip is blocked off. I've never seen police block off the strip like that before. All of Vegas is already celebrating. Man, this is something else. I'm really glad I'm here for this. This is wild. I never thought I'd be in a city where a championship happened. Congrats to the Golden Knights. Definitely the biggest news of this week. Didn't make the episode because we already filmed before the episode, or before the Golden Knights won. But just thought I'd throw it in there. Congrats to the Golden Knights winning their very first championship ever. Now let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the 25th episode of the Circus Catch, the second to last episode, guys. I don't know if you noticed, I'm actually not in the studio today. I am here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, taking time out of your busy schedules. Let's talk about what happened earlier this week. The Denver Nuggets, for the first time in the history of the NBA, are world champions.
Yeah, well deserving for the Denver Nuggets. They couldn't get it done with Melo, and just Murray and the Joker, they got it done, and hats off to them. Gentlemen sweep, 5 games. I was hoping for it to go the distance. I was still buying in on the Heat, but obviously you could see just they played too many games and they were, I guess, too tired. They just didn't have the hunger, they didn't have the fight, they didn't have the heart of the champion, as some would say. And the Denver Nuggets hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Denver Nuggets were the best team in the NBA. We said this in every series, including the Lakers series. I said it, they still looked like the best team in the NBA. They looked way better than Miami Heat. Obviously, Heat culture is currently dead, for the rest of the until next season, of course. But congratulations to Denver. I mean, so awesome for Nikola Jokic coming from the Taco Bell commercial when he got drafted. Not important at all. What a great story for him. I mean, he's the most humble guy on the planet. I don't know if you guys saw, but he shook every single one of the Miami Heat's players' hands before he decided to celebrate the championship. Also, he doesn't even care really that much, seemingly, about the championship because he wanted to know when he could get home. He was disappointed that he found out that the parade is Thursday because he wants to get home and race his horses. But also, great story for Jamal Murray. I mean, look at where we were at from 2020 when they lost to the Lakers in the bubble. Then Jamal Murray tears his ACL, has arguably one of the hardest recoveries. A lot of people said he would never be the same guy. Not only is he the same guy, but he elevated his game this NBA postseason. We saw what he did against the Lakers. I think that was his best performance series-wise the entire postseason, but posted a triple-double, first teammates to post a triple-double. What an amazing thing for Coach Mike Malone. I mean, the patience that Denver had in their organization to, we always use that word, trust the process. I mean, we're looking at 8 years here with Mike Malone now as a NBA head coach for the Denver Nuggets, finally getting a title. And how about Stan Kroenke? Another championship for that man. He's slowly becoming one of the best owners in sports. You got the Rams, the Colorado Avalanche, the Denver Nuggets. Not to mention he also owns the Arsenal soccer team as well. But just a great story for Denver to finally capture their first championship. And even as a Laker fan, I'm still happy for him.
Also on Stan Kroenke, he also owns the National Lacrosse League team there in Colorado who won the championship last year. They made a switch that between games 2 and 3 that really worked to kind of keep Jimmy Butler down. They put Murray on him for a good part of it. They put Gordon on him for a little bit. So they made some adjustments here and there that just kind of tweaked the game. We didn't really get a chance to see Jimmy Butler at all in this series, I feel like. And it's nothing against Jimmy. It really is just how the Denver Nuggets were so efficient getting things going, elevating the Aaron Gordons and the Michael Porters, who, by the way, guys, are all going to be under contract next year. Jokic, Murray, Porter, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as well, Aaron Gordon. So they're going to have this core going forward for a while.
One of the things I remember you saying last week, I believe when we were recording, Austin, is just how the Nuggets what they've been doing, and the role players, like they weren't showing up, and the fact that now they eventually were able to utilize and play their actual game later on in the series. And that's, well, yeah, you have Jokic and you have Murray, but then you also the depth of your bench, and you just see how well the teams have played. And the Nuggets were really able to capitalize and just continue to just run away with this entire series. And you just got to say hats off to the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, the role players definitely stepped up. What Jordan was saying too is true. I mean, they have such a young core moving forward. And if you drop some of those veterans that really didn't play a lot, and pick up a couple more young pieces, who's to say that we're not watching the beginning of a dynasty? You never know. I mean, Jamal Murray, arguably top 15 player in the league. Jokic is the best player in the NBA. So there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to start a dynasty for the next couple of years. People are already talking about like how many championships these guys can win. I'm not really sure, but like Jordan said as well, you got to give them credit to the defensive effort. It's not just from what they did with the switch. I think it's also their active energy with a lot of their young players. Christian Brown was one of the most impressive players probably in this series. I'm looking forward to, honestly, Denver in the Western Conference for years to come.
Yeah, by no means was that finish a guarantee. It came down to the wire last night. That Denver kind of pulled away the last few seconds there. And I don't think anybody should be discrediting Miami. I haven't seen a lot of it, but people are going to. That's just the nature of the beast. Miami Heat were the 8 seed, realistically the 7 seed, but because of the play-in, went down to the 8. They should not have been in this series by most accounts. They really shouldn't have. But what they did to get there is extremely impressive, and I gotta give them all the flowers in the world for figuring out ways to beat teams that on paper were much better than them. It's unfortunate that it took till Game 5 for Tyler Hero to get set. Would have been cool to see him in this series. Maybe it would have gone an extra game or two. I don't think Miami would have won, but it would have been a little bit more competitive. It irks me when teams aren't at full strength and they go against each other.
But, that just another credit to, Coach Spoelstra. I mean, he's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the NBA. Just the adjustments that he would make night to night, series to series, just to get this team to, honestly, I don't think we can, not say that they reached their full potential. I mean, they made the NBA Finals as a 7th, 8th seed, just like you said, Jordan, and it's a notch to that Heat culture, right? That just something that they preach and they teach, and what a way for Udonis Haslem to go out. Obviously, they didn't win a championship, but what a nice final send off for him.
With the amount of parity that there was in the NBA this year, the Nuggets did have the more well-rounded team. They were the 1 seed of the Western Conference, and they pretty much coasted, and not saying that that's a negative. It's just they played extremely well and they were well conditioned, and even rest is one of those things that can come in. And you just see how many games that the Heat continued to play compared to what the Nuggets went through. So you could obviously see that the better record, better players, and rest. And I just have to give much credit to just how well the Nuggets just finish it off and are officially world champions.
Denver did not face elimination at all in this playoffs. The closest they got was going to Game 6 one time against a heavy favorite in the Phoenix Suns. One of the most dominant performances in a playoffs in NBA history. So kudos to the Nuggets for getting their first championship in franchise history. Let's talk a little soccer. Let's talk about Messi. Let's talk about his contract. Speaking of Miami, doesn't look like the basketball team, doesn't look like the hockey team are ending their seasons on great notes, but it looks like their soccer team is starting their season with a lot of hope.
I wouldn't say that Inter Miami has a lot of hope. They're still last in the table. It's still anyone's game moving forward in MLS, but it's a huge signing, especially for the MLS in general, just because one of the last greatest signings in MLS history was in 2007 with David Beckham came to the LA Galaxy, and that was the start of the designated player rule. And for those who don't know what the designated player rule is, it allows teams to sign up to 3 international players. Well, not even international players, but 3 players that won't go against your salary cap. and the fact that it brought a lot of fans to MLS once the Beckham signing happened. And at that time, there were at least 12 clubs in MLS. And now you're coming up on 30, where we are now here in 2023. And Messi, this contract is ridiculous. He is going to have ownership stake in the team. He's getting revenue share from the actual kits and merchandise from Inter Miami. You're getting shares from the actual MLS Apple contract for televising, because for the longest time, the MLS didn't have any televised, just they didn't have any true network showrunners. Like you don't have ABC, CBS, Fox, because a lot of people, it's hard to kind of advertise soccer because there's no breaks, there's no timeouts, there's no commercial time. And that's one of those things that's hard to sell like soccer here in the United States because of ad revenue, because you want to have ad revenue. But the Premier League's able to figure out ways around it. And I know that that's through NBC, but this will bring a lot more eyes to the sport, especially for MLS, because a lot of teams are signing these great international players. Like you can look at Nashville signing Hadi Mukhtar from Germany. I believe he's from Germany. But it's just crazy that you finally get one of these big international superstar players who's, even though he's on the back end of his career, he could still play and he can tear it up, especially in the MLS with Leo Messi. And I'm looking forward to it because there was a rumor around this time last year that he was signing and it was going to be 35% share stake in the actual club. And then PSG had to like refute that and say, no, Fox Sports is wrong on that. And I don't have the actual tweet in front of me right now, but I was going back because I remember telling that to a friend. So they had to get in front of it and say, no, this isn't correct. And then lo and behold, here we are. Leo Messi's coming to Inter Miami.
The offer that he received from the Saudi Arabian team, it was rumored to be in the ballpark of $1.6 billion for 3 years. How do you turn that kind of money down?
When it comes to the Saudis league and their team, where can I watch them? I have no idea where I can actually, unless it's one of, I get a link from somewhere on the interwebs, but
some stream.
I know where I can go to actually watch Messi here in the MLS. For the longest time, I was having trouble trying to find where the Houston Dynamo FC were playing because they didn't have a local affiliate here. Like we have AT&T Sportsnet for the Astros, and NFL is televised all over, and the NBA is mostly on TNT and ESPN. But it's hard to find your localized teams for specific networks. And now that you have MLS going to Apple in this entire season, I'm just curious what the membership's going to cost even more next year when you have a full season of Messi.
Jesse and I had talked about this a little bit yesterday, that we can't fathom $1.6 billion. I can hardly fathom $1.6 million. I think I could fathom it, but I've never sniffed that kind of money. So yeah, to sniff 1.6 billion. But again, yeah, like you said, Messi's Messi. He's got multi-generational wealth. Jackson just posed the question, what are we going to fill our time with entertainment-wise during the dog days of summer? I need to let you guys in on something that you may not know. The hottest team in baseball right now, gentlemen, is the Oakland A's. So I'm going to start filling a lot more of my time with some winning baseball. I'm just playing, but no, we really are the hottest team in baseball. We've won 6 in a row. That accounts for a third of our wins for the whole season, which is really, really sad. But I thought I would just throw that nugget in there before I get to it. Okay, so what am I going to fill my summer with? Well, Jackson, I'm glad you asked this question. One of my favorite shows, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just debuted their first episodes for this new season last week. So that's a show that I really enjoy and really love to watch. And I wouldn't say it hit a lull, but I feel like I got a little overexposed to it the last few years. But then last season killed it, and this season so far has killed it. So that's a show that I really love and enjoy, and that's probably what I'm going to fill a lot of my time with entertainment-wise until we get past these dog days of summer here, so I can really start to focus in on baseball and then the upcoming football season after that.
Nice. Austin, how's the challenge?
Challenge is great. It's over. I already watched the finish, but you guys, first ever outfit change in the middle of a show. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I am now officially on my way to baseball.
I noticed.
Dog days of summer. Well, here's the thing, fellas. We like to talk about golf on this show, and I don't know if you know, but the U.S. Open is this week. It's at LA Country Club in Los Angeles. It's going to be another fantastic week of golf, another major on the line. It's apparent that now every time these golfers go out for majors and Brooks Koepka is involved, it's must-see TV because he is now in a world, in a list of rankings and a pyramid that, is historical. It's like every single time he goes out on a major championship, he's got a chance to win. And he's back after officially winning the PGA, almost won the Masters. We got the U.S. Open this week. Then we'll have the Open Championship coming up in a little bit later on in the summer, followed by the FedEx Club Championship, which will be massive for the game of golf. Entertainment-wise, Juju and I have been watching this show on Paramount Plus called Joe Pickett. It's a newer type show. It's a perspective, like these shows, they always give you the perspective of like cops and sheriffs and things like that. Well, this is like the perspective of a game warden in Wyoming. Pretty awesome show so far.
Well, a lot of entertainment that I've been kind of going back, and my wife and I started a rewatch of Justified because the new season is going to be Justified City Primeval, which will premiere later this summer. So I had to show her Justified, which was one of my favorite modern day Westerns. I think it's better than Yellowstone for all you Yellowstone people. I finished Barry. If you haven't watched Barry,
I have heard phenomenal things about Barry.
32 episodes, 30 minutes each, 4 seasons, nice, well-rounded, condensed packaged, just phenomenal. Good stuff.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this second to last episode of the Circus Catch. I'm going to let both of you go. I got a special guest coming in right now, but thank you guys for joining me from somewhere on the road in Montana out to Texas. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Thanks again, Jordan. Appreciate it always.
Thank you, Jordan.
You are seeing this right. We are doing an in-person episode for the first time. Jordan Wright here in Las Vegas, Nevada, along with Jesse Larson. Also here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jesse, good to finally be here in person after, 2-3 years that we've known each other?
Yeah, for sure, man. It's so great to meet you, man. It's so good to finally have this chance, and we're doing it in Las Vegas, man. What better place?
Yeah, honestly. Speaking of Las Vegas, I do have to interject real quick. The team that's moving to Las Vegas, the A's, I'm sorry about what we did to your Brewers over the weekend. I didn't plan on this.
No,
I was going to wear this jersey regardless. But I got to say, we're a horrible team, and we swept the Brewers this weekend, so I apologize.
Hey, the Brewers have been playing terrible right now. They lost the lead in the NL Central now to Pittsburgh of all teams, too. Another team that was terrible last year. So, kudos to the A's, and they got it done when they nobody thought they could.
If it makes you feel any better, we also did just take 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh recently. So
hey, there you go.
Maybe we're on a little bit of a roll. I wouldn't count on it, but I'm pretty confident at this point we won't have the worst record in MLB history.
Well, like we were talking about being text, the Philadelphia Athletics, oddly enough, is MLB's worst record of all time. So yeah, you're going to have to do a lot worse down the stretch than you already are to get that. So I think you're in the clear.
I hope so. I've been saying it all year. I like our bats. I hate our pitching. Our bats are doing okay. Ruiz is a monster stealing bases, so we got that going for us at least.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Let's talk about some relevant sports news. So let's talk about the College World Series of softball.
Mm-hmm.
So Oklahoma defeated Florida State in 2 games.
Yep.
You had predicted earlier that Florida State might take them out in 3, and it looks like they did put up a little bit of a fight, especially in Game 2.
Yeah, they did. Kudos to Patty Gasso in Oklahoma, man. It's just, like we were talking about last week. Austin was saying it is a dynasty. It really is. They've got 3 national championships in a row. They've got 6 in the last 10 years. You know, you can't say enough positive things about them. They're just that good in all 3 aspects. And Florida State they gave them a little bit of a contest in Game 2. Game 1 was close, but it was pretty one-sided. Florida State's offense really just didn't do anything against the Oklahoma pitching staff. So yeah, you just can't not call it a dynasty at this point. It's just they're just so good.
3 in a row, 5 out of the last 7. Obviously not including the COVID year. 5 of the last 7 tournaments played.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting was in Game 1, it looked like Oklahoma had a chance to end it a few times with an opportunity for the Grand Slam. But in Game 2, or I should go back to Game 1 actually. In Game 1, Florida State did have that amazing robbery, and then in Game 2, Oklahoma kind of flipped the script on them.
Yep. Kaylee Mudge for Florida State, left fielder. She saved the game basically because that home run that was a 3-run shot. It would have won the game for OU in Game 1. And then Jada Coleman. With the payback, I guess you could say, in center field. So, you know, it is it was 2 great games, just too much Oklahoma in all 3 aspects that Florida State just didn't have the capability to match up with.
And Coleman, no stranger to robberies either.
Oh, no, she's played outstanding all season in center field. I mean, Alyssa Brito at third base committed her first error of the entire season in the finals. So, you know, looking at just what they put out with numbers and stats, they're that good. And kudos to them. And I'm hoping next year we can give them a fight.
So the College World Series has been going on right now for baseball as well.
Yep.
The Supers have been going on. I haven't been paying as much attention as I should, I'll be honest with you. I know you have, though.
Yeah.
But the first thing I do want to talk about is the one that I did pay attention to. I did see the largest comeback in Supers history with Oregon taking out Oral Roberts with that 9-8 walk-off.
Game 1.
Game 1, yeah.
Oral Roberts scored 8 runs in the 3rd inning and never scored again. And then Oregon came back, walked it off. But then Oral Roberts flipped the script. They walked him off in Game 2, forced it Game 3. Late last night, Oral Roberts got it done. First Summit League team to ever go to Omaha, and the first time since '73 that Oral Roberts has headed to Omaha. So a big 11-6 win in Game 3. Just you don't see it from small schools like that very often. You know, I think to Coastal Carolina in 2016, Fresno State 2008 as a 4 seed, going all the way, winning it all out of the Mountain West. So it's a big deal for a small school like that to get it done. I'm not saying that Coastal Carolina and Fresno State are small schools. They were underdogs.
Sure.
And they went all the way through. And otherwise, we expected Wake Forest, Florida. They got it done. 2 games right off that. Wake Forest 22-5 yesterday over Alabama. In what really kind of was a tragic weekend in Winston-Salem. I don't know if anyone's heard about what happened. ESPN director Kyle Brown had a medical emergency in the booth before Game 2, or Game 1, I should say, and passed away tragically. So they turned what was a really somber weekend into some jubilation and excitement. So kudos to Wake Forest. Their first time, Jordan, 1955 was the last time Wake Forest was in Omaha. They won it all that year. I mean, gas was 30 cents a gallon, according to ESPN. They were talking about that back in 55. Look how we're here at $4 a gallon. So, anyway.
There's not a lot I want to bring back about the past, but that I do want to bring back.
Yeah.
It went up 30 cents a gallon in the last week. So,
yeah, for sure. Elsewhere, we're looking at 2 Game 3s tonight. Tennessee Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, and then Stanford and Texas playing the Game 3. Texas had a massive comeback. They scored 5 runs in the 9th inning on Saturday night to get a win there. So just craziness all around Supers this week, and I'm really excited to see what happens tonight. I won't be able to watch because I'll be on the road heading home, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to Omaha next weekend.
I may or may not watch tonight. NBA Finals Game 5 is tonight,
Yeah.
so I think that might take a little bit of precedence,
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
but we'll see. I might flip back and forth.
Yeah, and obviously we'll talk about major NBA Finals action, what I expect to be Denver taking it tonight, tomorrow on the rest of the podcast. So, yeah, it's going to be a hectic sports week, that's for sure.
Last week we talked about the Vegas Golden Knights dominating games 1 and 2 in the Stanley Cup Final. Stanley Cup Final, not finals. Yeah, thank you. So Vegas dominated game 1 and game 2. Game 3 and game 4, both games a little bit different. Vegas did take one of those games, but I wouldn't say it was in dominating fashion.
No, it was a lot of physical play too, in Game 4 especially. I don't want to call out players specifically. I did see a lot of dirtier play too. I think Florida was trying to take some cheap shots, and then Vegas kind of retaliating on Matthew Tkachuk and Matt Gudis. So I don't like that style of play too much. I like physicality. Don't get me wrong, Jordan, in the NHL, especially in the Stanley Cup Final, but keep it clean, right? And that's the problem I had with Game 4. It wasn't clean hockey. But Vegas got up 3-0. Kudos to Florida. They fought back. They had a chance there at the end with the power play in the final few seconds, but they just couldn't get it done. And I look at where we are here. Las Vegas is going to be booming tomorrow or Tuesday night. I don't know if Florida really has anything for Vegas right now. It just doesn't look like they're complete enough, and they're relying too much on Matt Gudis and that first line with Matthew Tkachuk. I think Vegas, their depth, they're just too good right now, and you could be looking at here Tuesday night watching a parade come down the streets of the Strip. So
hey, it's going to be dangerous. I think if the Knights do win, I'm going to run back up to this hotel room as fast as I can. And I will get an aerial view. I'll be up here and I'll kind of see the celebration as it's happening down below, because I know how Vegas gets. I don't know how their championships are. The only championship that I know of is the Aces winning the WNBA finals last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they get, and I don't know if it's going to be too crazy. But I'm not a young man anymore, and I also have the kids with me, so I got to make sure that we're not going to be in any kind of danger first.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
then we'll come back up here.
Yeah.
So, kind of selfishly, I hope that happens, because I would love to see how crazy the city gets, but I'm also not counting Florida out, because I've seen what they did to Boston, the best team in National Hockey League history.
Yeah.
I saw how they beat Carolina, how they beat Toronto. So I'm not ready to count them out just yet. Game 3, they did have to come back, and they had an epic comeback. They did have that empty net goal that kept them in it, and then obviously the overtime goal as well. It looked like they were well on their way in Game 4 as well. They were down 3-0 at one point.
Yeah.
They came back almost. It was 3-2 at the end. Not quite ready to count them out, but yeah, I agree. They look kind of gassed. It looks like they know how to get to Florida. They're trying to get Tkachuk out of his element. I thought he showed better leadership in these games than he did the first 2 games.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, just not sure how it's going to go in Game 5. I think Vegas probably will get it done, but I'm not counting Florida out, because Florida, right now, their agents are probably hearing about book deals, and if they come back and win the series, I guarantee they're going to be hearing about movie deals. So they need to get their pens ready. Their signatures need to get some fine tuning.
Yeah, for sure. It's a tall road for them to come back in this series. Like you said, don't count them out. Just to me, it just looks like Vegas has what it takes to get it done. And man, they weren't even existing, a few years ago. So for them to go where they are, I have to give them credit. I'll never root for them, but I will give them the credit that they deserve, and they've really come alive since they started.
Jesse, thanks for making the drive all the way out to Las Vegas just for me. I know you didn't do it for any other reason. You guys didn't come this way for any other reason except to be on the Service Cast.
Yeah, for sure. The highlight of the trip.
Well, regardless, I appreciate you making this drive, because I know you guys weren't in Vegas, so we kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, we met in the middle. It was a good trip, though. I'm glad we finally got to meet in person.
Exactly.
I mean, got to see all the guys at graduation. You obviously weren't unable to make it, so.
I'm a rebel. What can I say?
Yeah, you're a rebel.
Las Vegas rebel.
Las Vegas.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, either way, great to see you, man. Great
Likewise, my friend.
Great to get an in-person episode of the Circus Game.
Same. I haven't done one of these, like I said, since the soccer episode.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we got one more episode next week. Thank you for watching this one. It's gonna be hard to top it. We'll see if we can do it next week. But for now, peace out and Viva Las Vegas.
Go Brewers.
Man, get out of here with that.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Awesome.